I am swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, 'cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, 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 I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Fuck.
Yes, it is me. It is me. I am back. I am here. I am live. Thank you to each and every one of you who tune in week after week after week to watch me fumble through roughly an hour-long libertarian podcast where I talk to some of the greatest minds in the Libertarian Party and the Liberty Movement. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. First and foremost, allow me to thank the wonderful and fantastic people at siestacava.com. siestacava.com. If you are one of the few who has not had the hippie moonshine, the libertarian Kool-Aid, swing on by siestacava.com to pick up some today. To you and to them, to everybody watching, and to Siesta Cava, Bula Vinaka. This episode of The Writer's Block is brought to you by my dear personal friend, personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law. If you happen to want to be a contributing member of the Muddied Waters of Freedom, just go to anchor.fm/muddiedwaters and leave a message. And while you're there, hit the old donate button and give us money so we can continue bringing you the high quality programming that you have come to know and love here at Muddied Waters. This episode is also brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing waffle related caucus in the Muddiedverse, in the entire Muddiedverse. If you want to become a member of the Waffle House Caucus, go to muddiedwatersmedia.com/store and pick up a Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus button. If you want to become a voting member, all you have to do is pick up a t-shirt. This episode is also brought to you by the most aptly named sponsor we have ever had, Mudwater, coffee alternative. It's good. It's mushrooms, you know? It's got masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and that is it. If you are one of the many out there who I refer to as psychopaths that want to kick coffee, all you have to do is go to muddiedwatersmedia.com/mud and make the switch today. This episode is brought to you by The Gravy King. This episode is also brought to you by Jonathan Reels. He is not a real candidate until we reach $5,000, until he reaches $5,000. So if you go to www.jonathan.cash, you can donate money to Jonathan Reels' campaign and make Jonathan Reels a Reels candidate. So head on over to www.jonathan.cash to make sure he is a real candidate today. This episode is brought to you by Jack Casey. Jack Casey is the fantastic author of these, probably, I don't know, they might be good. They're books. And they're, Game of Thronesy rip-off books, I think. I'm not even 100% sure. I haven't read them. But people tell me they're good. The cover art is intriguing, to say the very least. What I know about Jack Casey is he is very well-spoken. He is a really beautiful man all the way through. And he also happens to have the greatest head of hair in the Libertarian Party. If Spike Cohen had that head of hair, he would probably be president by now. This episode is brought to you by, nope, not that one, by Cumberland Cannabis, the CBD gummies coming from Cumberland area of Tennessee. I don't know if that's a city. I used to live in Tennessee. I have no idea. I think it's an area, the Cumberland Gap. But yes, Cumberland Cannabis. Go to cumberlandcannabisco.com to pick up your strawberry or blue raspberry 200 milligram gummies today. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Mr. Joe Solosky. He is the key to Pennsylvania's success. If you or any of your friends live in the Pennsylvania region of the United States, you should vote for Joe Solosky for governor in the upcoming 2022 election. Also, just a fantastic person with the greatest voice running anywhere ever. Like, I wouldn't even be able to try to imitate his voice, because that is how good it is. Okay, that was fun. I did that in like 2 breaths, and now I'm like winded because I'm older than I used to be. My guest tonight is a wonderful, wonderful person. She obviously cares about people much more than I do, because she has spent her entire life trying to save them. She is an anesthesiologist and other things. She is basically the Dr. House of Delaware. So let me just introduce her, and she can explain all of the weird medical stuff that she can do that I don't know what it is herself. Welcome with me, Dr. Irene Mavrakakis, everybody.
How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
I am really glad to have you on the show as well. Like, normally I get, people who are running for office, people who have other podcasts, things like that. You are probably the most formally educated person I've ever had on the show.
Well, that's good. I'll take that compliment, of course, because I worked hard for my education. So thank you for that. It was clearly a long road, but It was well worth it, of course. It's the house that I don't live in, medical school.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're a doctor. You work in hospitals. Many people probably don't know this about me, but if you were to say, quote a line from a Scrubs episode, my skill set is I can tell you what episode that was in. That's my medical knowledge. And from what I hear, Scrubs is the most medically accurate television show on TV. Or at least it was.
I definitely think that Scrubs has a lot of accuracy, and they use the comedy to show some of the problems that we have in medicine. For me, I'm kind of a Grey's Anatomy addict.
Okay.
But Scrubs, definitely, the humor speaks truth often.
Yeah,
more than you really kind of want to know, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
Fair. Fair. Yeah, no, I heard that years ago, and I've just decided that I was going to believe it because, I read it on the internet, so it had to be true. And
well, isn't everying?
Obviously, everything. Yeah. Everything is true.
Yes.
So I just went with it. I was like, yeah, that's true. That's the most medically accurate television show ever made.
That's how I make my medical decisions with my patients, by Googling it on the internet.
Yeah, you just hit up WebMD and you're like, oh, well, obviously you have cancer and you are dying. So you only have 3 months left.
Yeah, and that's my delivery. No.
No, that's not how you do it. So you essentially are like Dr. House, right? Like,
Officially I'm an interventional spine and musculoskeletal specialist. I've been doing that for 21 years in Dover, Delaware. So my primary training is anesthesiology, and then I did secondary fellowship in interventional spine and musculoskeletal pain. So for 21 years, I diagnose and treat complex spine and musculoskeletal conditions in patients using predominantly non-narcotic ways to get them better. So I was a interventional pain physician who did not promote the use of narcotics during the time period where narcotics were promoted to treat musculoskeletal pain, because my training taught me that that wasn't the answer. And as a lot of us, not just me, we saw the opioid crisis coming, to be honest with you.
Right.
So because, the answer to any painful condition, right? Because pain is a presenting complaint of a medical condition, right? When you have a heart attack or you're having chest pain and you go to the ER, right? You don't want them to just give you some OxyContin and send you home. Clearly.
Well, I mean, that depends on when you talk to me. Like if you talk to me 20 years ago, I am not old enough for that to have happened 20 years ago. But yeah, if you were to talk to me back in my early 20s, yeah, absolutely. Just give me some OxyContin and let me go on my way. Give me some
but clearly you understand my point. Additionally, like if you broke your arm, clearly you wanted them to either, do an open reduction internal fixation of the broken arm or put a cast on you, not just send you home with OxyContin. So the same goes for musculoskeletal and spinal conditions. The true way to treat any patient with any painful condition, for which the overwhelming majority of conditions present with pain, is proper history and physical, running the differential diagnosis, and then initiating treatment.
So when you say non-narcotic, would that also include, would you prescribe like marijuana to people, or is that out of your purview anyway? I don't know. I don't know Delaware's laws.
Yeah, so actually we should definitely talk about this, because I think you might find my stance on marijuana quite interesting. So, and I'm not in the minority. I think marijuana should be completely deregulated. And my concern as it relates to medical marijuana, and now big pharma getting involved in marijuana, and big regulation getting involved in marijuana, and they're manipulating the receptor activity and things like that, and higher concentration, is we're going to take a beautiful substance that's a plant that nature provided, and we're going to mess with it, and we're going to ruin it. So for me, marijuana is a plant that grows in the grass or wherever it would grow, and it should go completely deregulated. We should get medicine, big pharma, and the controllers completely out of it. So yes. I tend to get a little frustrated, to be honest with you, when I do join the movement of, allowing marijuana to be used for medical purposes and things like that. But I don't think that that's the ultimate truth of the substance. I think the truth is that it's a plant. I was reading recently about tobacco. I mean, the big part about tobacco is the filters were a big part of the problem with the cancer and the chemicals. I mean, clearly the manipulation of the receptors and the nicotine content. So I'm saying, for the most part, that we should just, leave the marijuana plant alone and let it grow.
Right. No, absolutely. And I absolutely agree. Like, everybody talks about legalization, and I am like, yes, of course, I don't want people going to prison or, being stopped by police or fined or anything like that for marijuana. I am more for deregulated, where if you have it and you use it, great. If you don't, okay, well, also, like, you should be able to have the right to purchase it at any store without any issue. And you shouldn't be able to be arrested for it or fined or punished in any way. That's my personal stance. I don't think we need to worry about legalizing it, because once you legalize it, that's when you get regulations on it. That's when big companies come in and start lobbying in order to make sure that only certain companies can have it. So you'll have issues where Philip Morris, for instance, I don't know if they're actually working on this or not, it would not surprise me, is going to try to lobby for only certain people can sell it nationally, or sell it in 7-Elevens or whatever, and you'll have smaller businesses who have been working on growing and cultivating and whatever else you do with marijuana before it gets into the bowl. They're going to be just kind of having to sell to Philip Morris if they want to make any money, or they're going to have to just struggle to survive in a much smaller market.
Right, exactly. And it really is a plant that nature provided. So
Exactly.
they're going to ruin it.
I talk about this pretty often on the Writer's Block, but one of the ways that Muddied Waters Media got started, is because here in Florida, they were trying to ban kratom, and I don't know if you know what kratom is. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah. They were trying to ban kratom, and when I quit drinking alcohol and stopped doing drugs and all that, I started drinking kratom and kava as just a place to go and hang out where I wouldn't get, hammered, or I wouldn't get blitzed out of my mind or anything like that. But it gave me a social outlet, and they were trying to ban kratom here in Florida, so I went and I spoke in front of our Congress, our House, the Florida House of Representatives, talking about why we shouldn't get rid of it, why it's necessary, and they ended up not banning it. But from that stemmed Muddied Waters, because we wanted to protect kava and kratom throughout the United States, specifically here in Florida, because that's where we lived. But it's because and I didn't want it regulated. I didn't want it to be, scheduled in any way. I just wanted it to be left alone, and people could buy it, and they had to make the right decisions. Like when people asked me about it, I said, don't buy it from gas stations. Don't buy it from head shops. Go places where you know that you're going to get a high quality product. I will give you a list of people that you can buy it from that you can trust. And people did it. And so far, kratom is okay. Like it's still unregulated, and you can still get it. It's harder to get, but you still can.
I find that very interesting, and I haven't really read that much about it, but just yesterday, literally, I think the FDA tweeted about kratom.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I haven't looked into it in years because
I'm like, we're in the middle of 5,000 other things, and I don't even know. I clearly wouldn't go looking for that tweet.
Right.
Like, what? And
yeah.
I clearly didn't read anything else after that. But
what's funny is the FDA banned it back in, I want to say 2015, I think.
2015. Okay.
I think they did for like a month, and they got so much backlash they reversed it. And it's only like it's one of the few times that they had banned a substance and then reversed it to the point where they were like, no, just take it off. Let's get rid of that. But the guy who was in charge of the FDA at the time, he sat on the board of I haven't had to look any of this up in a long time. GlaxoSmithKline, I think is the name of the company.
Yeah.
And they had just gotten a patent on synthetic mitragynine speciosa, that's the active ingredient in kratom. And they had just gotten the patent for it, and then he banned it like the next day. And
yeah, I mean, clearly that's coincidental and has nothing to do with each other.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely nothing to do with each other on that one. I just realized that you are slightly over me. You
What?
You took up just a tiny bit of my thing, and that's totally fine because, you deserve all of the space that you can get.
Well, it's funny. The only reason why I know about it is because a patient mentioned it to me, and I always have learned over my 21 years that I'll pretty much listen to anything that they tell me and have an open mind. And I am completely a different physician than I was 21 years. It's always continuous learning. I learn from my patients, and I consume a vast amount of articles on my spare time.
So completely off any topic that we were talking about. Should I get the vaccine?
So as a licensed physician, I ethically am not allowed to tell you, a non-patient, what to do about vaccines because I'm not considered an expert. You can ask me whether or not I'm getting the vaccine.
Are you getting the vaccine?
No, I'm not getting the vaccine.
Okay. Well, you know what? That is a bigger, that speaks louder volumes than you saying, well, that depends. Like, are you planning on attempting to have a child soon? Do you have any issues with, and asking me a lot of personal questions on the internet? But But that one speaks a lot louder than anything that Fauci can say in a congressional hearing.
Because it still is a right of mine as a citizen of the United States to verbalize the fact that I am not having the vaccine. I could have also said that my personal health information is none of your business, which is usually my answer.
Right.
But I kind of like you, Matt. So
I appreciate that. That's actually my answer whenever anybody asks me. Like somebody will say, "Are you going to get the vaccine?" And I'll say, "Did you get the HPV vaccine, or did you, or when was the last time you had an HIV test?"
Exactly. And just for a point of reference, so I trained in New York City and Manhattan during the height of the AIDS epidemic. So when I was a surgical intern at St. Vincent's in Manhattan in 93 through 95 was when we had death wards of AIDS patients. And there was no treatment at the time. It was a death sentence, and it was 100%, death likely if you got it. And I went into that situation, me and my fellow physicians, with no mask and a bad pair of latex gloves, which I eventually became allergic to. And we did not, shut down the world for this. And I fully recognize that it's a different theoretical type of transmission. But in the beginning, we really didn't know that.
Yeah, there was no way to know.
And I was in the OR with my hands while the main surgeon is suturing in end-stage H patients because they would have horrible opportunistic infections, what they're called, because their immune system didn't work, so they'd get tuberculosis in the brain,
right,
pneumocystis pneumonia, and things like that. And it's something that's ingrained in my memory. And it's interesting because my years at St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan are so remarkable because I was a fourth-year medical student when the Twin Towers were bombed the first time. Do you remember that there was a bomb in the basement of the Twin Towers the first time?
Right. Yeah. There was it was like a truck parked in the lower level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I volunteered to stay, and I got to do arterial blood gases, which is a terribly painful procedure to monitor carbon monoxide, dioxide poisoning, all this stuff, right? See, I can't even remember. Carbon monoxide. Yes. Yes. And on firefighters in New York City. So I'm like this. I look younger than I do now. I'm 53. I always look young. And they were like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm going to do a very painful procedure to measure important things in your blood." And they really gave me a hard time. But that was just an amazing experience during my time at St. Vincent's in Manhattan.
That's insane that you were there at that.
I was there.
Yeah,
I was there.
That's crazy.
I was born in Lenox Hospital. I grew up in Queens. I went to NYU undergrad. I trained at St. Vincent's Hospital during my third and fourth medical school years and my first and second year of surgery residency, because originally I was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, and then I switched for lifestyle because I thought that I clearly would never be able to see the kids I eventually would have and actually ever go to a soccer game. So I changed to a more outpatient-based specialty. But yes, I have, sawed open the chest and things like that. And I was on episodes of Trauma Center Life in the Ear during its first season.
Oh, wow. That's really...
Yeah, I forgot to tell people about that.
That's really cool. I used to... I can't believe I'm about to admit this on the air, and Sarah is Sarah's going to hear it. When I was single and a heavy drinker in my mid-20s, we'll say, I used to dress up in scrubs and tell people that I was a pediatric cardiovascular surgeon, and I would go in and talk about the life that I lost on the table to pick up women.
Yeah, I don't think anyone believed you.
You would be surprised.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I'm being hard on you. I'm sure you were quite convincing. I would have believed you.
Yeah, I could make myself appear really sad, and then they wouldn't ask any questions after that. And so That is my having been a cardiothoracic surgeon in my lifetime.
So how many women were you successful with that little
We don't
gig?
we we don't need to discuss that.
Okay.
That's like personal medical information.
My personal pickup information is private. It will
Right.
not be disclosed. Yeah, you opened this door.
I did.
Let the record show that you opened this door for me.
I fully admit that I opened the door, but I am closing it once we get to, certain numbers.
I respect your wishes. We'll change it. Turn the page. Let's move on.
So you grew up in Queens. You lived in New York. How is it that somebody from Queens became a libertarian?
Well, yes, of course. I'm a born and raised New York Times reading New York Democrat, right? My parents are immigrants. And I would like to talk about my mom being a Lebanon-born child when we get a chance, but we can get to that later. And then actually, I was very apolitical for a very long time and was a registered Republican for 21 years, but not really political. But I would say I've been a closet libertarian probably 10 years or so.
Okay.
Was heavily involved in just locally trying to campaign for the Gary Johnson campaign, putting signs up in a place like Delaware,
Right.
But I was on Slack and I met some of the regional guys. I wanted to get on the health committee. I really did try, and I did a lot of social media. And then I realized that the polls that the national media do are completely manipulated and inaccurate, and actually, they absolutely make no sense whatsoever, and started to wake up as it relates to what really goes on in politics and duopoly, and then really got involved a lot the last year with the Joe Jorgensen campaign. And then really the part that really motivated me to be much more active was when I was Spike's driver, when he was here in the fall.
Yeah, that does it.
Yeah.
He has a way. He has a way, and I'm not saying this because, he's like my best friend and business partner. I'm not saying this at all. But I was his driver in Florida, which I was like, I am not your chauffeur. Like, come on. But we had people.
That's so funny that we were his driver.
We had people in the car with us, and like I talk to Spike all the time. Like I said this on Clubhouse yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm not like impressed by the Spike show because I've heard it for years now. And, like, yes, he has a lot of really great things to say. And I love the way that he says it, but I've heard it. I've heard it all. But other people that would come with me to these events hadn't. And they would be like, so what is the libertarian philosophy or policy on this or on this or on this? And he's just rattling them off. And even I was like, God, this is impressive. Like, these people have asked me these questions, and I'm like, shut up, I don't want to talk to you about this. But he's like, just rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive to watch, especially when you're the driver, because you're just sitting there. You have no choice.
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was with him and LaQuinn. I had a little bit of an agenda. I wanted to give him some medical information as it relates to what's going on and things like that. Literally was handing him articles and stuff like that. Probably a little bit annoying.
Probably not. Like knowing him, he was probably like, oh my God, more information for me to ingest.
Yeah, like I handed him his Red Lobster in an article, and he was like fumbling with this article that I had printed out in his Red Lobster. Clearly, he wanted the Red Lobster more than the article, but it worked out. And actually, Liberty Speaks came to my mind for that event that he had in Dover, Delaware. I was kind of thinking about the idea of Liberty Speaks, and that was kind of what launched the idea in my head. Literally, it was just an idea in my head.
So, man, you should actually co-host Muddied Waters of Freedom with me, because that's the greatest segue I think that Muddied Waters Media has ever had. So actually, let's talk about.
You're too kind. It was so not deliberate either. It's just.
Have you ever seen, like, I know you've seen our show. I've seen you like when you sign in, and Yeah, there's times
Yes.
where we're like, speaking of looks at next article, how can we relate this? No idea. You just like seamlessly like threw in Liberty Speaks, and it's like, wow, that's just, well, great. Now I don't have to worry about how we're going to get there.
Oh, good, we got there. So I'm
we got
grateful
there.
for that.
So Liberty Speaks
Yeah.
is an organization that you started, so last year, I'm guessing, when he did the Dover trip, which I don't know when that was.
Well, no, it's actually not an organization. Liberty Speaks. Yeah, it's interesting. It's libertarian in its essence, right?
Right.
Because Liberty Speaks is just an event that a group of us libertarians decided to do privately with a winery to have a fundraiser to benefit the Libertarian Party of Delaware. It's quintessential libertarianism at its best.
Okay.
And
so when I was doing research, I did not have I had minimal notes on what we were going to talk about. And Brian, who gives me the notes and books the show, does a fantastic job, but said founder of Liberty Speaks. And I was like, in my head, I just immediately thought that's an organization. And I was trying to find anything on it that any a website or anything. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to ask her. And it makes sense that it's not an organization, but instead it's an event. That makes so much sense now. Okay, cool.
It might, you could have just messaged me on Facebook. I would have
I know, but it fills 5 minutes.
I would have answered you right away. I mean, maybe I would have made you something.
Well,
No, it's fine. No, actually, it's just an idea, and it's remarkable what a core group of 15 to 20 people have done to put on this event. So now I have a project manager, a producer, a sound guy, a graphics person, vice chairman, secretary. We will actually make Liberty Speaks into an organization when we have time. But we've been so busy with actually producing the event that came secondly. So it is libertarianism at its best. We're just doing it with this local winery called Peaceadillery, and it's on June 4th. And the speakers are just absolutely epic. We have the 5K.
I was going to say I've got the list here of the entire speaking list. You've got you, Jen Moore, who was on my show last week. She's fantastic. She was great to talk to. I really enjoyed that conversation. Steve Sheets, who's wonderful. Sam Chick, Glenn Watson, Christy Dill Brownlee, Dale Thomas. Dale Thomas? Okay. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a typo on my part. And I was like, uh-oh, did I misspell this? Dale Thomas, Mitch Denham. You've got the master of time, space, and the universe, Anthony Samaroff, which, honestly, when you get the master of time, space, and the universe, you're going places. Like, this is going to be big.
Can I just tell you, on Facebook, he circled it, and he said something like, see, it really is up to me. Right. And I couldn't.
Yeah, I actually saw that on the page, and I went, well, I have to bring this up.
Yeah, I couldn't stop laughing. Actually, we chat on Facebook now all the time through Messenger because I've gotten to know him, and he's staying at my home for 2 days when he comes. So,
Angela McCardle, who I had on my show a couple of weeks ago, she's wonderful. I really like her. Michael Heiss, Maj Tory, and then some other guy.
Could you just say it already?
And Spike Cohen is going to be there. Apparently, he ran for something in 2020. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But yeah, like, this is a fantastic list of speakers that you have here. Honestly, like, I was like, when I was doing the research for tonight's episode, like, I found the event, and I saw the list of speakers, and I was just like staring at it. And my friend was across from me, and she was like, why are your eyes wide? I was like, because the list of speakers at this event. And she goes, do I know any of them? I go, you know Spike. And she goes, anybody else? I went, no, you don't know. You don't know anybody else because you're not in the libertarian politics. But yeah, I was like, no, but trust me, it's a fantastic list. And then David Richard Perry's going to be doing music there.
Yeah, he's also a friend of mine. That's the running joke, because in Delaware, everybody kind of knows everybody, and I get to know a lot of people.
Of a county.
Yeah, yeah. I thought Delaware is what you drove through to get to Virginia before I moved here. But
I
the
grew up in
thing
Virginia.
is,
It was the county. It was Delaware County to me, and that's what I drove through to go to Philly.
yeah, but actually, I raised my kids here. I've been here since 1999, and the musician was pretty well known with a band, 10 years ago or so, and this is his comeback. I work with him in the OR, and he's a wonderful musician, and I'm just so excited that we're able to bring this opportunity. And as it relates to the speakers, I must say that these speakers, we really were able to obtain by a collective, um, aggressive attempt to get these people to speak by my core team of people who I call my family now, which is just remarkable because a year ago I didn't know any of these people.
Right, and that has been one of the most miraculous things about me being in the Liberty movement. Um, so many people, like Spike and I, we met on the internet. It was a Craigslist ad. He answered it, and we just, you don't need to hear that story. But no, we met on the internet. We became friends on Facebook, and then we just kind of started chatting on Facebook. And then one day I was just like, hey, do you want to fill in? Do you want to do a show on my channel? And he went, yes. And then this is how I've gained probably most of my closest friends, is just being a libertarian on the internet who talks a couple times a week to whoever wants to watch me. And that's how I have actually gotten my friends and the people that I consider to be my family across the entire globe at this point. And it's absolutely amazing. So real quick on David Perry, is he a doctor?
No, he works in the OR with me, but he's not a doctor. There's a lot of people that work in the OR with me, but that would be interesting.
Yeah, because his initials are DR.
That's hysterical, and I never thought of it.
Yeah, so if he was a doctor, I was like, man, that guy he knew his life path. Knew. Like, my initials are MR Wright, so I'm Mr. Wright, and obviously I lived up to it. But he...
Clearly, I understand that. I'll make a note. Yeah. He is always right.
Yeah. Ask Sarah, I'm Mr. Right. For her. For nobody else. Sorry, ladies. Just her. Yeah. But yeah. No, I was reading this. I was reading this list, and I was like, man, because earlier today you asked if I could come out and live stream the event, and I am unable to, unfortunately. Because I looked up the list afterwards and I went, oh God, I wish I could go so bad, because that would be amazing.
Well, and you really can stay in my house. I do have room.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And it's not far from the event, because I'm actually in the southern part of the state, and I'm one of the few that live close to the event. But I think we're already talking about next year, and we started this a little bit late, and the rest of the team absolutely saved this event, because I'm a pie in the sky kind of gal, so I set my sights high, and I kept adding a lot of stuff, and there was a point where they literally sat me down and
I was going to...
Could you stop adding stuff, because we haven't done all the stuff.
I was going to say.
I have an idea in my brain. They're like, oh no,
more ideas. I get that.
Yeah.
I am the person that's going, oh no, please stop giving ideas, because we have so much to do, and other people are like, I have this other idea. I'm like, no, shut up, please. But yeah, you guys. So it's a free event, and it's happening.
Yes.
It's happening at Pizza Dilly. Am I saying that right? Pizza Dilly.
Pizza Dilly Winery in Felton, Delaware.
Right, Pizza Dilly Winery. In what's the name of the city again? I thought I had it here, but apparently I missed that when I was doing it.
Felton, Delaware. I clearly would say it's not a city; it's a
area.
Town.
It's an area. It's a region.
And it's a wonderful place. And Delaware up north is very city-like, and the lower part of Delaware is just an amazing place to raise your family. And I've been welcomed here for 21 years, and I feel like I'm a Delawarean always. And it's just a wonderful place to raise your family.
Right. No, I mean, and still sales tax free, right?
Yeah, so no state purchasing tax,
Purchase,
right?
right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so we pay income tax and things like that. Um, but yeah, so if something is 99 cents, you get a penny back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I lived in Virginia and we'd go up to Philly, because my younger sister lives in Philly, I would drive up there regularly, a couple times a month to hang out, and I would always stop in Delaware to go to the Costco right off 95 because they had a liquor store and there was no sales tax. So obviously the liquor was going to be cheaper in Delaware than in Pennsylvania or Virginia. So it just made sense. I was going to be driving right by it, may as well. So I was constantly at that Costco in whatever city that is in Delaware off 95 right before you get to Philly.
Yeah, I've been there. Again, Delaware's small, so we may have been there together,
Possibly, yeah, that's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to be having vendor tables, advertising packages. Are all of those booked yet, or are we still trying to find people for these?
We already have a lot booked. We're still open for tables and sponsorship. The event itself is sponsored by the Libertarian Party of Delaware and
Okay.
Anthem Planning, which is Amy and Dylan's business. And we're so grateful for all their work and all their support. And there'll be wine tasting, and the local fire company, Felton Fire Company, is going to have homemade ice cream, and
nice.
we're going to have volleyball and games. And it's a 100-acre winery. And I really was there drinking plum wine today. And
yeah, I saw there was something going on there today too when I was like scrolling, and I was like, I don't.
Here we go. It was great.
So not only are you going to have everything that you just mentioned, but there's also a Liberty Run from 1 to 3. Which is
so Liberty runs
a 5K. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I like how I like the description where you said sweat it out or take a stroll on the picturesque grounds of the vineyard, because I know that when I'm about to get my wine drink on, what I want to do right beforehand is sweat it out. That's my goal right there.
Yeah, I love the verbiage. I don't remember who actually wrote that, so I apologize to them for not remembering that, but I think it's just perfect.
In all honesty, I would run it. I would run the 5K. I would run the 3.2 miles so I could get done with it as quick as possible, so that way I could start drinking. If I still drank.
I just can't wait till you come next year. Well, I'm about to start flying lessons. I went up on Tuesday with a friend just to see if I liked it. So I guess I could try and come get you. Where are you?
I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida.
I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, I went up on a plane on Tuesday. I posted the video on Facebook. That's my new list of things that I'm going to do.
Become a pilot?
Yeah, and just maybe get a small plane. It's very freeing.
Oh, I could only imagine how freeing that would be. Yeah. I saw the video that you posted on Facebook, and I was like, that is amazing, because that's something like I've kind of wanted to do in my lifetime, but never had the means in order to do it. Because other things were more important. In my 20s, it was drinking and drugs. Now it's other things. But I saw that and I was like, that is amazingly cool, because I can only imagine that would be one of the most free feelings ever. Like, just to be up there in the sky. You're not really worried about cops, really, because they can't pull you over. And you can just kind of fly, and as long as you give them your itinerary, I think you can just kind of go and then come back and land whenever you want.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And I'm 53 years old, and I have worked, raised two children. I have a 25 and an 18-year-old. And I would say just this past year, I have had the freedom, my daughter just finished her freshman year of college. So, I have a lot of things that I've always wanted to do. And it's interesting because I was with another physician who was the pilot, actually. And the thing is that there's a lot of physicians that fly. And I think it's a combination of our personalities, but also like we're very kind of checklisty obsessive beings, right? I'm very particular, especially as it relates to patient care, typical type A, So I think it makes sense to me. We were kind of talking about that, but we were talking so much. This is so funny. We're by the Dover Air Force Base, right? And I actually know a lot of the airmen because I'm one of the preferred providers for the base for conditions. So I know a lot of the airmen on the base, right? So we're talking, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh crap!" And he takes and he makes this quick turn to the left, and he does acrobatics. But I said, "Don't do that with me in this thing," And I said, "What's the matter?" He's like, "We're a little close to the airspace." And I'm like, and later he went because he can see, and it was about a mile.
Oh, wow.
From it. And I said, that's okay. I would have said, "Hey, Dr. Mavs, hey guys, it's just Dr. Mavs. Please don't shoot us down," because then I can't take care of you if you shoot us down.
It's just me. It's fine.
It's just me. It's fine.
It's just me. I honestly had no idea what I was doing, and I did not know that I just broke federal laws.
But we did not. We were a mile away.
Right.
But he was like, I didn't know what was going on because he told me afterwards because he's like, "Oh crap." It was great. It was such a wonderful experience. Yeah. So I just pretty much have had freedom this past year to live my life.
No, I mean, and that is amazing. And that's the goal that everybody should be working toward freedom their whole lives, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Somebody said you can't get pulled over, but you can get shot down. Touche, Patricia. That's a good point. Yeah, everybody should be working toward freedom their whole lives. Like it kind of sucks that we work a lot trying to fight for our freedoms. And I'm not saying that, nobody should have to work. Because yes, you have to work because you need to make money to buy things and pay for rent and buy houses so you can provide. But in order to work toward what it is that you're going for without the government being on top of you in every little detail of your life, like, whether it's you want to smoke weed, you should be able to smoke weed. If you want to get rip-roaring drunk, you should be able to do that, which you pretty much can anywhere, except in the city where they make Jack Daniels. Oddly enough, I tried.
Not surprised.
They did not let me. If you go to the Jack Daniels distillery tour, fun fact, they will give you lemonade at the end of the tour, and the only way they will sell you alcohol is if you buy a commemorative bottle that is much more expensive than buying Jack Daniels at your local liquor store.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just so if anybody is ever up in Tennessee and wants to do that tour, don't expect Jack. The lemonade is quite tasty, though. I've had it a bunch. So
somewhere to go. I'm
right.
gonna put on my list.
It's actually really cool, and the site that they do it on is beautiful because they have like this mountain stream, this mountain river that goes right through, and that's where they get the water to make Jack Daniels. And
oh, really?
Yeah, it's really picturesque. Like there's a lot of really cool things that you can learn there. But yeah, I don't drink anymore, and I've seen it, so I don't need to go back. But I recommend anybody that wants to go visit it, do it. It's really cool. So this event is happening on next Friday.
Yes.
Next Friday. I had to think about what today was. Next Friday, June 4th. The run starts at 1:00. Are people supposed to be there at like noon, or do you want people to be there early, or just show up at 1 and just start running?
They should be there a few minutes before, and I have a welcome event with wine and cheese for the speakers before that.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and if you came, you could. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I would honestly love to come. I would. It's a
I'm
financial
just
issue.
kidding. I'm so sorry. Please
It's-
forgive me. I'm a total empath. I hate to bother people.
if enough people donate to Muddied Waters or send money to muddiedwatersmedia.com or nope, sorry,
Yes.
muddiedwatersmedia at paypal.com. If they
Yes.
send enough money,
Crowdsource.
I will fly up there to live stream this event.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Crowdsource. Go ahead. Say it again. Donate to.
Send money via PayPal to muddiedwatersmedia at gmail.com. And if we get enough for me to purchase tickets to go to Dover, Delaware. Dover, I'd have to go to Dover, correct?
You'd have to unfortunately go to Philadelphia. There's no. We pick you up.
Fair. Okay. And this is going to be a 2-for-win because I would get to live stream this event and make my sister angry because I wouldn't go and visit her. Because I would be busy doing other things.
Yeah, and you have to bring your lovely wife with you.
So earlier today, Irene said that I should bring my lovely wife with me to Delaware, and superfan Sarah Anderegg and I are not married.
I'm so sorry that I married you.
You're not the first person to have done this. Many people think that we're married, and she gets called my wife a lot. And my favorite is when people call her Mrs. Wright, and she gets all giddy. She's like,
Yeah, you guys are so adorable, and your pictures are so sweet in your profile. Yeah.
And honestly, that's 100% her. If it was just a picture, I'm libertarian married. Meg Jones says, yes, that's accurate. Because the state ain't telling me who to marry. But yeah, that's all her. If it was just me in the picture, it'd be like, that dude's kind of creepy looking. But you throw her in there and it's like, oh my God, they're so cute together. Because she just like,
Oh yeah,
she brings it all down.
She just is so sweet in the picture, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's so sweet
You
in
could
real
tell.
life. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
she is also an empath, much like yourself. And she just cares for people in a way that I don't understand. And she like just wants to be out there helping. I want to help people be free, but then I want them to take the reins and do it themselves. She wants to help people all the way, and it is amazing to watch. And it's just very, what's the right word? Inspiring. Like it's inspiring, and it makes me want, like I told her before we started dating that she made me want to be a better person, and I have worked on that since that time to be a better person, and I hope every day that I make her proud, and she tells me that I do. But
oh, thank you for sharing that with us.
she's a dirty
that's
liar
so level.
sometimes.
No. I actually friended her, asked to be her friend on Facebook, and she accepted. So I was really happy about that. And then I was actually still at work, and I saw a little bit about just briefly what she did. But, us empaths, we kind of can understand each other, that even if it's like, I'm a healer that happens to be a physician.
Right.
You see? And,
Yep.
So, I think that the world needs us. And as it relates to really Liberty Speaks, just if I could just talk about the real intent of the event.
I was going to get to that eventually. We just kept going off into these different offshoots.
No, I'm not. No, we're good. It just came to my mind. We're good. I know you would. It's fine. Don't feel bad. I'm an empath, and I feel bad that you feel bad. It goes. It's like. Wait. I have to digress. When my kids got in trouble with me, right, and they knew I was upset, they would later tell me, because then I would be upset that I got upset at them.
Right.
Like good Greek guilt kind of stuff. And they would try to behave more because it bothered them, because they knew I was upset that I got upset with them. Like they were good because they didn't want me to be upset about being upset with them. So these poor children.
You are definitely so lucky I was not your child, because I would not have been that way.
So my kids are just absolutely wonderful, and they're so incredibly smart and successful. And my son's in grad school, my daughter's in college, and they're just wonderful. But I really wanted to just briefly, the Liberty Speaks part of it. For me, I really believe that what unites humanity is far greater than what divides us. I think that we're kind of exposed to a lot of propaganda and forced to talk about, the 5 hot topics. I don't think anybody disagrees with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think that, especially in Delaware, for Liberty Speaks, there's a liberty movement that comes from all political spectrums. For example, and it was really funny because one of the first 5 speakers was a guy named Sam Chick, who's a Republican. And he said to me, "You do know I'm a Republican." Like, that was what he said to me. I'm like, yes, but he had a good story, kept his business open. I'll let him tell the story at the event and things like that, and a lot of other stories. And, we have a couple of other organizations that have Republican leanings and things like that. And I was actively involved in Rank the Vote, which is a different way of voting. I'm not sure you're that familiar. So that's what Kristen and Dale are talking about. Rank the Vote Delaware is an organization. And Rank the Vote Delaware is incredibly progressive leaning. The progressives push for it, but I think us libertarians have a lot in common with progressives. And I made friends and really wonderful relationships with a whole bunch of progressives. My children are progressive as well. And, we were able to have some wonderful conversations about how the world can be a better place. I think if we would just listen to our own hearts and minds, really, like, I'm not just saying this, like, I live this in my own heart and mind. I think we really can make the world a better place and shut down the few controlling, duopoly, manipulative, partisan politic narrative that has really ruined this country. So, and then I didn't even know about my caucus. I'm part of the caucus, and I didn't even know about it until I read the platform. I'm like, where was this been all my life? Like, I clearly believe that if people actually knew what libertarian is, they would be like, okay, well, there's nothing here that I don't agree with. So Liberty Speaks, and we just found out that it can be live streamed and it's going to be videotaped and it's going to be, mass promoted, is really for us to talk to ourselves, right? With the most brilliant minds in the liberty movement, both locally and nationally. Right.
And Spike.
And Spike. Yay, Spike. And to show ourselves that really what unites us is far greater than what divides us. And I made sure that I talked to each speaker so they know the premise of the event. And really, it's my attempt at trying to make a world a better place. And
I commend you for that, because there's a lot of people in, well, the world in general, but there's a lot of people in the Libertarian Party that I have met over the years. And because I joined the party in January of 2014, I think. And they, they talk a lot about how we need to do something, something needs to be done, but nobody is willing to show up to actually do anything. Like, they won't take the reins. They won't take the reins to, like, start something or to, plan an event or, set up for an event or break down an event or, do any work whatsoever. There's a lot of people out there like that, but they are the first to complain that there's not enough of these things happening. So you going out to just say, you know what, Liberty Speaks, it's going to be an event. We're going to have it at the Pizzadilli Vineyard and Winery. That we're going to have it there. We're going to get some of the best speakers in the Libertarian Party, and we are going to spread the message of liberty, even if it's only within our close circle and anybody else who happens to be there. And we are going to make sure that minds are changed and that we can show how we can make a difference, because that is more impressive than what so many other people are able to do. There are people who run for office that just put their name on a ballot and that's it. Like, they paper candidates, and they're just like, I'm just being a libertarian that's running, and then that's all they do. They don't actually go out and spread the message. And in some races, I understand, I'm not knocking anybody that's done that. But in some races, but you need to get out there to spread the message so that way people can learn about it, they can hear about it, and then they can make the decision on whether or not libertarianism is right for them, because, freedom. If freedom's good for you, I don't know, because some people apparently hate it. But you going out to do this shows that you are already an extremely hard worker who cares about liberty, and I respect it so much. I respect it so much, and I applaud you for your tenacity and your putting this together, because I really wish that I could be there. Again, people, paypal.com, muddiedwatersmedia@gmail.com. And if you give me enough money, I will go to this event and I will live stream it on Muddied Waters and other platforms.
Well, I'm going to actively campaign for that fundraising, first of all, but I do have to say that there's a core team of 15 to 20 people: Amy, Dylan, Brian, Trisha, Dave, Chris, Ian, Carter, and a whole bunch of other people. And if I forgot you, I feel like I'm at a Golden Globe speech because I clearly forgot someone. And I'm going to be so upset at who I forgot. Put it in the comments who I forgot.
Oh my God, thank you so much for this. I need to thank, and I know I've forgotten some people, and I'm so sorry.
No, but clearly they are the core team. They are the workhorses. They are volunteers. We're not even an organization. And this core group of 15 to 20 people just knocked it out of the park. And then Dre, our sound guy, is doing it for such a little bit amount of money. And he's the one that's going to allow us to live stream. And Chris is the producer. And all of these people are just, and Krista is our food and wine person. And I would never do it. And they saw what I was trying to do, and they jumped on my ship that I was probably sinking because I kept having too many brilliant ideas, and they got me straight. But I do want to say something. You know how you're talking about those people who talk and don't do anything?
Mm-hmm.
I was that person up until a year ago. So what I'm saying to people is, eventually you wake up and you realize what you're supposed to do, whatever that is. So don't judge yourself or others. I'm not saying that you, but I'm saying give yourself a break, wake up, and see what you're supposed to do in this journey for freedom. Because it doesn't matter what you did in the past, because it's the present, and that's why it's called the present, because it's a gift, right?
Absolutely.
So we just move forward from that point, because I was one of those people just in a very few months ago.
And again, yes, you're right. Anybody out there that is one of the people who's like, oh, we need to do something, but then doesn't, all of them have the ability to take the reins on an event. If they have an idea, just run with it, do it, and you will get people who will give you ideas. And if you like them, go with them. If you don't like them, don't. But you have the ability to put something like this together to spread the message. And again, anybody that does this, I respect them. I love it. I love seeing people just take... I love people who are out there trying to spread the message of liberty, and they're taking the reins, and they're doing everything that they can. And to all of them, to anybody out there that does it, and to you specifically, because you're on my show, thank you so much for doing it. Because it's absolutely amazing what you have put together here. And if somebody doesn't get video of Spike Cohen running a 5K, I'm going to be really upset. Because
well, I'll talk to Chris, our producer, and see if he's going to do any clips from the 5K. But also we should talk about what you do for the Liberty Movement, right? Because this is your passion, right? So clearly I would be talking to dead airspace if you weren't here for me to...
Yeah, that's...
So, I mean, so it wouldn't really be... So clearly your role and your passion is part of your journey for the Liberty Movement that is obviously needed.
Right.
So, I mean, we can't discount your profound role, and I'm so grateful that you do this. And
I honestly, I appreciate it. Years ago, do I want to tell? Yeah, I'll tell this story. When I was young, 13, I learned about Rush Limbaugh, and I started listening to Rush Limbaugh at the age of 13. My dad had never heard of him, and he was just like, why are you listening to talk radio? And I was like, oh, it's Rush. And he was just like, okay. So he started listening to Rush to make sure that basically he wasn't like your Alex Jones type. He wanted to make sure that he wasn't like an Alex Jones conspiracy theorist. I don't know if Alex Jones was around back then, but like I listened to Rush. I would record it while I was at work or while I was at school, and then I would play it when I got home. Like that was my homework for my own self. And I wanted to do what he did. I wanted to be on the radio, and I wanted to talk politics. At the time, neocon politics, but I was 13, and I did not learn, or I did not learn about libertarianism until I was older. And I actually have an autographed picture of Rush Limbaugh on my wall right here, made out to me. My uncle, my uncle was actually I think he still is, editorial cartoonist who met Rush Limbaugh on a number of occasions, and he got me the autographed picture for my 16th birthday. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And years later, somebody came to me with the idea of doing a podcast, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And in the back of my head was like, this is exactly what you want to do. Don't lie to yourself. And 4.5 years later now, I've created Muddied Waters Media, and Spike Cohen is with me, and we actually have some new shows that are going to be joining us soon. And I honestly can't be happier about being able to spread the liberty message in the way that I have been able to over the course of this time.
Yeah, and we're also incredibly grateful, and there's nothing but more positives as we go onward in this movement. But clearly we have to have a place to talk about this movement, and thank God for you and others who are doing this. So it's just amazing when people stop and process and get rid of the fear and see what their journey is supposed to do and be, right? Then you find your true passion, and then you're
Absolutely.
able to be successful out, because it's something that, I can be a very spiritual person. It's what your soul compelled you to do, right?
Right, exactly.
You knew that it was the truth. Yeah, you knew that it was your truth. And that's a wonderful thing when people figure that out. So,
and honestly, it is. I've said multiple times that Tuesday's show is like my therapy. If we don't have a show on Tuesday where it's the Muddied Waters of Freedom with me and Spike, like that's my therapy. Like that's like, if I don't have that, I just feel anxious the rest of the week, no matter what. Sarah's sitting in the corner over here, just nodding her head, going, "Yeah, like you guys need to have a show every Tuesday, or else I'm gonna murder you." But yeah, like that's my therapy. It gets me through, and that is what calms me down and gets me going for the rest of the week. This show is a wonderful passion project, and I love every guest that I have on here, and I love learning about everything that they come on to talk about. And the guests like you and Jen Moore and everybody else that I've had on the show have been fascinating, and I've loved learning about everything, and I love that I have given them a platform to teach other people. But I was also the guy. I wouldn't plan the events, but I was there. Like I was knocking on doors, and I was writing articles about. Like I was that guy too, because I wanted to be involved. It wasn't until I started doing this that I was like, this is definitely where I'm supposed to be. But it's not saying that anybody, no matter what your passion is in the libertarian and the liberty movement, not just libertarian, but just the liberty movement, no matter what your passion is, there's not one right way and one, and wrong ways. If you're like me and you want to do this, do this. There are people that do this that are fantastic. There are people that I think do it so much better than I do it. And I listen to their shows regularly. And if you are somebody who wants to be an event planner and plan things like Liberty Speaks that's going on June 4th from 1 o'clock till 9 o'clock, you can absolutely do that. And that is what's right for you. And it's about you finding whatever your passion is for spreading the word of liberty and getting it out there. There is no right way and there is no wrong way. It is about what works best for you as an individual.
Yeah, and you find the people around you that collectively drive you towards success and spreading the message, and it becomes a community of empowered people. And I feel like through this extension, I feel closer to you. And I think that there's a lot of good that we can do in this world. And
Absolutely.
it can be painful. Some of our journeys can be painful to get to this part, but what in life is not worth it if you don't have to at least fight for it a little bit, right?
Exactly. And a lot of people think that Muddied Waters Media has been a cakewalk. No, it hasn't. It has been a straight labor of love for me to want to make this work so I can continue to spread the message. There have been times that I've wanted to quit. There have been times that I have almost given up. There were times that I almost said, you know what, like I'm just going to give this entire thing away to somebody else and they can try to make it work because I'm not the right person. And the longer I have stuck with it, the more I know that, one, I'm never giving this thing up. And two, like this is exactly where I am supposed to be. And it's amazing to be here. And I hope that I obviously hope that you feel the same way about the work that you are doing up there in Delaware.
Yeah, and Liberty Speaks is very important. I also am incredibly passionate about taking care of my patients. I'm very close and very dedicated.
As a doctor, I suppose that's good. I think that's should be prerequisite.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I see some very complicated and tough cases, and I cry. I do cry sometimes for my patients, but we always find ways to help people. So, but I'm a sappy empath anyway, so
Right.
we like to cry anyway. So
Fair.
it's all good.
Fair.
Yeah.
I used to go to Delaware every summer for vacation when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, we went to Rehoboth.
Of course you did.
Yeah, we went to Rehoboth, and the absolute worst and only jellyfish stings I've ever gotten.
Oh, in August.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, Delaware, sorry about that. We hope you come back.
yeah. I did not know what a jellyfish was. Like I'd heard about it, but I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
whatever, and jumped into the water there in Rehoboth, and I was like, what feels like my legs are on fire? Because that's
Yeah.
weird. And then it was
Oh
just kind
my
of like
gosh.
all the way down, and we went to like a Safeway or something, and they went, "Oh, the jellyfish got you, huh?" And my parents were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
what do we put on that?"
Well, didn't you watch the Friends episode?
This was before that, and
Do you know the Friends
I do know
episode
the friend.
about?
Yes, I do know the Friends episode. Does that actually work? I thought that was just like a myth.
Actually, I haven't checked, but I'm a Friends fanatic, and now I have this vision of you and what was it, Chandler? Like it's so bad.
Joey Tribbiani urinating on my
Was it
leg.
Joey?
Yeah, it was Joey.
Joey?
It was God. I hate that I know that much about Friends, but yes, it was Joey that urinated on her leg.
Well, I mean, I think in August there are some jellyfish problems. But Felton is like 25 minutes, 30 minutes from Rehoboth.
Fair.
I could be wrong. My sense of direction is terrible. Right. God help us. I'm going to fly planes. But anyway, moving on.
So the event is next Friday, June 4th, 1 o'clock till 9 o'clock. You are speaking Jen Moore, Steve Sheets, Sam Chick, Glenn Watson, Christy Dill Brownlee, Dale Thomas, Mitch Denham, Anthony Samaroff, who is the master of time, space, and the universe, Angela McCardle, Michael Heiss, Maj Tory, and some guy named Spike Cohen. I am going to be putting the event right now into the comments. So if anybody is going to be in the Delaware, Philadelphia, in the tri-state, quad-state region, you can register for the event at that link on Eventbrite that I just put in the comments. If you are listening to this on audio later, it is in the show notes below. So you can also register there. And this looks like it's going to be an amazing event. And again, people send money via PayPal to muddiedwatersmedia at gmail.com. Yes. And if we raise enough, I will be at that event as well.
Yes, with your lovely wife.
with my lovely wife. You should see the look she's giving me is like, it's like a cartoon character who's like trying to hold in her excitement. It's
when that happened on Facebook, I started to explain to my staff that like it's so hard for them to like, the podcast that you're on, it's just like, and the event that I'm planning, it's like they call me Dr. Mav. They're like, oh my gosh, Dr. Mav, what are you up to? It's so funny. And shout out to the speakers. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you coming. Libertarian Party of Delaware, the caucus, Michael Heiss, you are amazing. And all the other speakers. I'm so looking forward to meeting some of these people. So thank you so much.
No, absolutely. The list of people that you've got here, like I would love to sit down and talk with many of them and, just get to know what they have to say about a lot of different things.
Well, that's the thing. We have Liberty Eats on Sunday. It's at Dave Casey's place, Wheelies, in the northern part of the state. And it's a brunch from 10 to 2 for speakers that are still around. And the way I envision it is all of us speaking around the Liberty table, eating at Dave Casey's place, Wheelies. And so if you come for the weekend, and then you can hang out with the locals. And I know Spike is going to be there at least for the first 2 hours. I confirmed that with Brian.
Very cool.
And so you can come to Liberty Eats on Sunday. The convention is on Saturday, same venue from 12 to 5. And then we have an awesome dinner from 5 to 7. Which is our convention dinner with Spike and Tasha. There's tickets available if you go to Libertarian Party of Delaware. And maybe
is this the Dancing with Liberty thing?
Dancing with Liberty is the wine label. You can pre-purchase wine bottles that have that awesome picture of Spike and Tasha. And so there's 2 different types of wines that you can pre-purchase and pick up at the event. It's just absolutely, Ryan did the graphics for that, and he was just absolutely spectacular. And then I think that everybody is just going to have a great time, and we're going to talk about liberty, and just so grateful for everybody who stepped up to make this event possible. And I really want everybody to donate to, what is it for you, Matt? What are we donating to get you here?
Via PayPal, muddiedwatersmedia at gmail.com. And if enough money is raised, I will fly to Delaware to be at this event.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with that. And when I get obsessed with something, you know how it goes.
I'm going to have to call my boss next Thursday and be like, they raised enough money. I'm sorry, I have to go. I know she's watching right now, and I'm going to be like, sorry, I'm not going to be at work tomorrow.
I'll talk to her for you. I'm convinced. I'm a convincing human.
I've done a lot of work recently. I'm certain she'd be like, well, that's fine. Just, make
it tell her to come too.
Just get all of I don't want to say where I work. Just get everybody I work with to come up to go there.
Yeah, you could stay at my house, but I mean, it's going to be my couches that recline at this point. I keep inviting people to stay at my house, which is probably where the after party will be, because I keep saying that. But it'll be fun.
All right. Well, we are we're over time. Which
I'm so sorry.
No, you are fine. You are fine. I've been enjoying this conversation. It's the only if I wasn't enjoying the conversation, we wouldn't have gone over time.
I enjoyed it too.
No,
sorry.
You are fine. You have been a blast to have on. You have an energy about you. I'm not one of those energy kava drinkers, but you have an energy about you that is it's electric. It's intoxicating, and Sarah says she loves you, I
love you too, Sarah.
But yeah, you have an energy about you that just like gets people excited about things, and I can't wait to see what is gonna happen with Liberty Speaks, next week and in the future. And I hope that this grows, and I hope that we have. If I'm not there next Friday, obviously, but I hope that we have enough people like you have, that it grows and that it just continues to spread the message, because I think that you could do a fantastic job at being an arbiter of the message of liberty.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words. So grateful for this opportunity. So nice to kind of meet you, and I'm glad to have made a new friend.
No,
So
absolutely.
grateful. Thank you.
I am really glad
Yeah.
that you are my friend as well. I have to do the sign off. If you want to hang out for a second, I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay, sure.
Okay. And to everybody else that is out there, you get to see Joe Solosky, because I always forget to turn that off. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Let me really quick. I don't know why I never put this in the notes. Let's check what's going on next week. We know that next Tuesday, Spike and I will have our normal podcast Tuesday at 8 p.m.-ish, 8-ish p.m. Eastern. And we have Liz Liz Terwilliger coming on. She's running for Pennsylvania's 12th congressional district, and so she's going to be on at the beginning of the show. And then after her, Spike and I will go on to do our normal show. Spike has nobody yet listed, so maybe somebody. And then I have... Oh, sweet. I've got Ari Gabrek coming on. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to talking with him. That's going to be a really great conversation. So tune in next Thursday for the Writer's Block with Ari Gabrek. And until then, remember, fun fact of the week, the most expensive cheese in the world comes from a donkey, and it costs $600 for a kilo. So until next week, have a great weekend. I am Matt Wright, and you are perfect the way you are.
I am swinging from a 7-story window, throwing parties in a 10-by-7 cell. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help. Yeah, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'll try to use your body as a life raft, 'cause if there's room enough for one, there must be room enough for two. I'll sail the good ship you into the sunset, sipping on savory water till my liver turns blue. Sha-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Is broadcast in the evening news. I will be relieved. La, I am waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. I'm waving while I drown. Don't bother swimming out to save me, I will only drag you down. La, 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 singing, hey, hey, alright, yeah, I wrote that one myself. It's astounding the lengths I'll go to convince the whole damn world I don't need anybody's help.